Well, greetings. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. It is Dr. Jan Fortman with Relationship Matters TV. I hope everyone is having a beautiful, blessed morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are in the world. I'm going to jump right to it. So, look, if I am gushing, you are going to find out why. I am so excited. What's the song? I'm so excited and I just can't hide it. And you're going to find out why once I bring my guest on. But before I bring her on, let me tell you some things about her. When I grow up, I want to be just like her. So let me talk about Miss Rose Chastain. She is the partner and co-founder of CSW Consultancy. Rose is certified by the Stanford School of Business as an expert in scaling businesses. During her 20 plus years of personal development coaching and consulting, she has worked with over 14,000 individuals, including me, 5,000 startups, Fortune 500 companies, and nonprofits in the US and across the world, including Dubai, Europe, Singapore, and Brazil. She is a master at producing breakthrough results for people in their personal and professional lives. Like me, her career spans more than 20 years. She must have started when she was a teenager. She has guided individuals and organizations towards achieving extraordinary outcomes in their lives and businesses, like me. And before she started on her consultancy journey, she held a pivotal role as a trainer, speaker, and manager within one of the world's largest personal development organizations. I think that's where I met her. We'll have to find out about that. We won't say the name, but I did meet her there. Okay, what else? She spearheaded operations across the Southwest region of the U.S., overseeing a staggering workforce of over 20,000 individuals and driving revenue growth by an impressive 30%. And she does have an uncanny ability to manifest dreams into reality. I have to tell you what she said about me. Anyway, Miss Chastain excels in several key areas, translating individuals' aspirations into actionable plans, cultivating innate leadership qualities, and unleashing personal power. OMG, what can I say? She paves the way for individuals to transform their lives and businesses, embarking on remarkable journeys towards unparalleled success and fulfillment. OMG, I have to bring to you the wonderful, fantabulous Ms. Rose Chastain.
Hello. Oh my gosh, Dr. Foreman, that is the best introduction ever. You are always going to do my introductions from now on forever.
Oh my gosh, you know how excited I am to have you as my guest. So, okay, so let me give a little history. Rose really was my first business coach.
Oh,
How long ago was this? Oh
was it
my
like
God.
2017? Maybe?
Uh,
Yeah, I think 17.
17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
Really?
17 or 18. Yeah.
I thought it was even earlier than that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe so. Okay.
We've always been connected through the through the years,
Yes.
the
Yes.
lives.
Yes.
Mm.
And I remember we were at a kind of like a conference, and I was just sitting there kind of quiet, and I wasn't really saying anything. And so she got up and she talked about me and she said, "This is one woman you all need to really meet. She is one badass." And I thought, who was she talking about?
It's true.
And so we have had this wonderful relationship ever since. She is really the person who started me on my journey. And everything that I read, and this is the truth, Rose, I talk about you. Everything that I read, she has. It's about me too. And I really thank you. I am so very, very happy to have you here. Because you started me on my journey.
Wow. That's
You
awesome.
really did. You really
What an
did.
honor. What an honor.
Oh, no, it's my honor. And since I've said all that, I do expect for you to send me those earrings.
Of course, they do go with your outfit.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. So did I leave anything out about you, Rose?
Well, I realized I haven't put anything in my bio about I'm a host of a podcast. It's called A Woman's Voice. Mm-hmm. And I had the pleasure of interviewing you recently. And that's all about women around the world getting to express their passions and what's important to them.
Okay. Yeah. And so, first question I want to ask you is, before you became a wealth business consultant, what did you do before then? And why did you decide to become a wealth business coach?
Well, I have to tell you a funny story. So I'm going to start a long time ago, but it's not going to be a long story. So don't worry. Okay. I was born in Klamath, California, which is like about as country as you can get, almost as country as you can get. It's like there's not even a city near there where I was born. Okay. And I was born in a barn, and and my first name legally is actually Harvest. So I am Harvest Rose.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So I grew up, as you can imagine, very alternative country hippie family. And I could not imagine ever being a wealth and business coach. It just wasn't in my sphere of influence. I didn't know such things existed ever. And what happened was I started to do personal development work because I volunteered, and it was inspiring for me. And I said, I want my life to be about women and children in the world, knowing that they have a say about how their life goes, that's the difference I'm going to make before I die. And I think I was like 17 when I said that. And you have to imagine I had blue hair at the time and was, living part-time in a van in the country, in the wine country, and then part-time in San Francisco. So it's like, when I said that, that's what my life was like. And so fast forward through lots of experience and then schooling and different jobs, what I discovered is that the more women who can have power with more people, forget women, although that's like a special focus of mine, the more people who can have power with money and making money, the more influence they can be in the world. And that's the thing that's really going to make the difference, is if the people with power, money, and influence are good people who love their life, love their mom, have a balanced, healthy life, that's going to make the world better for everybody. So that led to schooling. And then I went to Stanford Business School and I studied around business and business owners. And then I loved working in nonprofits. And when I did the project with Stanford Business School, that's where I got to interview thousands of nonprofits and discovered really how much wealth there is in the world. Mm-hmm. and how little I knew about it. And I would say, even though it's my whole profession, I would say that I still know so little about it, because there are things like financial advisors and wealth consultants who know things about taxes and tax advantages that I probably will never learn. But if the basic education about how to get wealth and keep wealth was available to everyone, then there would be a lot more diversity. There would be a lot more education available. There would be a lot more equality around the world. I think people would pool together more often. I think there would be an equality of resources. Yeah. So that's my belief, and that's how I ended up. So before that, it was just personal development and, seeing what a wild California hippie girl could do. And it was really my desire to make a difference that led me to this career. Yeah.
So why'd you focus more so on women?
Mm.
One
of the things I discovered in my studies, again, it was in the Stanford Business School that I discovered this, was that statistically speaking, when we would bring a woman into an experiment or a research or business, and the woman was in a position of leadership, she would often bring more key people to that community. So she would be the one that would have the relationship with the village leader, or a relationship with the person that had the resource we wanted. That, again, statistically speaking, not absolute truth, that if we were to empower a woman, she'd be more likely to bring her family, her uncle, her cousin, the guy downstairs, the neighbor next door, And I think about my own life and how I see that true, and that's naturally true. My neighbor, I have hired their daughter as a part-time admin assistant. The people across the street, I look out for them. I bring them Filipino treats they like. The people next door, I walk their dog. It's just natural that people, sort of that natural nurturing instinct. And if we combine that with education, then that nurturing instinct can produce a whole lot of other things.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So now, let me ask you this, because I always wondered about this. Mm-hmm. Is there a difference in the challenges for women to, I guess, think about building wealth in their business than men?
Yes. Especially women of color or any other marginalized group of women, resources just simply aren't as available. Period. You don't, generally speaking, women don't have those relationships. It's more difficult. There's more challenges to overcome. There's this other piece, which is this Norman Rockwell picture, which is so idyllic and lovely and beautiful, but it shows this picture, this image of dad going to work, and he's got his tie and he's official and he's serious. Dad provides. He's a good dad. There's sayings that we've all seen saying that a good father, a good dad, he goes out, he provides, he goes to work, he works hard, he comes home, he's exhausted, he needs to eat, he has to put his feet up, he needs his slippers, you got to be quiet, dad needs to rest. Okay, then dad needs to eat. We all know that and accept that, and that somewhere in the back of our mind has been filed as that's what it is to be a business, a professional, to be a business owner, to be a provider. It looks like that. And often women don't see that same picture when they look at themselves. They see things like, why can't I push through it when I have horrendous cramps and mood swings? Why aren't I like picture perfect steady, like that image we have? They compare themselves, and they're biologically, physically, and emotionally and available, like in every way they are different. And because a lot of society doesn't talk about, you don't see the Norman Rockwell version of the woman who is going through perimenopause, having hot flashes, but still driving to work. And, you don't see that version. And because you don't see it, you can't replicate it. You can't go, oh, I'm going to be just like Betty Sue. Betty Sue held down 2 jobs while she raised 3 children. She had hot flashes and she did this and a wealth village on so many. Exactly. So it's simply not, you don't see it out there. So how are you supposed to replicate it? And then let's just take this other scenario. Girl, you're asking me questions. I'm going to get on my soapbox at any moment. I can tell. I can hear it coming.
Go ahead.
If you go to a social event, so let's say there's an event coming up next week, and it's a recognition for this particular congressman who happens to be a member of the United Irish Committee. I can't remember the name right now, but I'm also a member of this organization, and it's for people who are direct descendants within the last 2 generations, and they live in America. And this particular congressman, he has done a lot of things for the Irish community. So there's a huge fundraiser dinner. It's about 10 minutes from my house, and it's in this beautiful winery. Okay. And I know that when I go there, that there will be many opportunities where I have to force myself to show up as important as the white man congressman. I'm going to be not as interesting as him. Well, granted, I'm also not a congressman. So let's, there's no equal thing. But separate from that, if it wasn't a congressman event, there's a particular hurdle I already have to get over. And I'm good at what I do. I'm good at getting over those hurdles. But it's like the deck is stacked against you. And you start to see things like in a social event like that, they'll turn to the male that looks to them like their peer and ask them, well, what do you do professionally? And that will be a more valid, important answer than the one that I give. It's too easy to put me in the category of, oh, you live around here? How cute. Tell me about where I should go to eat. Like, no, I don't want to tell you about that. I want to tell you about what to invest in and how to grow the influence of the Irish community around here. That's what I want to tell you about. So I know, again, I'm generalizing, and before anybody has all of those, these are generalizations, but it's a very real bias that all women are against when they want to go into business like this.
So how how can we break from that? And I get what you're saying, because I've been in those situations where I was at this networking event or summit or conference, and most of the people there were men, and I would say the 1%ers.
Yes.
Okay. And when it came time to meet and greet, so to speak,
yes,
I could, I'm like standing over here somewhere, and I have to insert myself.
Yes.
Where they don't.
Yes.
And like you said, wanting to know, okay, what do you do? Yes. But not valuing it as much, and then when I'm watching the speakers, I'm thinking, well, gee, I speak better than that. And my presentations are better than that. And they're really networking, getting each other's information. And I have to make sure I'm not asked, so to speak.
Yeah.
So how do you, in your coaching, how do you instill that in women, that, yes, I'm just as valuable as that congressman, so to speak?
Yes.
Usually, yeah.
Oh my God, I love your question. I have so much to say about it. So the first thing I want to say is there's this amazing woman. Her name is Allison Armstrong, and she does a lot of work about the relationships between men and women. And one of the things she talks about is how not to be a frog farmer. And frog farmers are the women who kiss a man and turn him into a frog, not turn him into a prince. and so it's her work is around relationships, but in pertaining to business, because women tend to go into those situations feeling discouraged, seeing the camaraderie between the guys, then you're not included. It's very much the same feelings you felt in junior high when you weren't included. It's the same feelings. If you look like on the feeling wheel, it's the same feelings. And so since we go into it discouraged, we feel a lack of power. And again, remember, I'm generalizing, so apply it when it works. And don't. So we feel a lack of power. And because we feel a lack of power, we want to take power from others, because that's natural human instinct. If I can make you small, if I can make you want something from me, if I can make you feel stupid for not have talked to me, if I can, like a lot of these social strategies we do, they happen so fast we don't even realize we've come up with them. Like how you said, I have to insert myself. And that's a very I'm here, don't mess with me. Hello, can you see me? It's very, for most people I know, uncomfortable. It's not your natural expression. Like I've seen you do both. You're an incredibly gracious hostess and woman and so smart. And I've seen you try to insert yourself, and same thing with me. I've seen me lead something, and I'm very loving, relationship-y. That's my kind of brand, my style. So when I try and be like, I'm a leader, God damn it, you better listen to me. It's really aggressive. It's what's the word? Grating, not authentic. And so then I diminish myself, because then I become that aggressive woman, and it's not natural and authentic. But if you go into it with, okay, I can't go into this environment, into this situation, feeling a lack of power, feeling like the last one picked for the sports team, knowing I'm going to be rejected. I can't go into it from there, because all of the strategies suck from there. So then that comes to the next thing, which again, I have a lot to say about, and it kind of blew my mind, was in the experiment that we did, and we interviewed all these people with Stanford Business School. What we determined, what we learned at the end of this massive experiment, was that the single greatest thing that influences the growth of businesses is the founder's ability to express their vision. Okay. That's it. The single greatest thing. And not just how well written is your vision, because, we've all done mission statements and vision statements, is how well can you communicate it. So when I tell you I am on a mission to make sure every single woman and child in the world knows that they have a say about how their life goes. And I think that you, with the work you've done in schools, you could be uniquely influential in this process. And I want to connect you to a couple of charities who I know, with your expertise and the funding that they get, we can really make an impact in this area. Is that something you want to hear about? And then I can be, because it's my vision. I don't have to come up with any strategy for that. The struggle comes for women in business. The struggle comes when we think we have to fight against the rejection.
Never thought of it that way.
Yeah. Instead, you can just sidestep it and be like, you do whatever you want. I'm on a mission. My mission's more important than you're not picking me for the baseball team. Okay. I use that joke because I really was in junior high picked last for baseball. I suck at baseball. And I swear to God, the feeling of rejection I felt then, I still feel now. Same feeling.
Wow.
Just whatever it is, 30 years later.
Wow. So I'm going to take a quick commercial, and then when we come back, I want to know, now I know, but my audience would like to know, how did you instill this in me? and your other clients. Because as I said, for some of you who came in, a little after I did the introduction, Rose was my first coach and business coach, and I would even say relationship coach. And she's the one who really started me on my journey. And I still have, on my computer, I have it in two places. Our coaching, oh yeah, our videos and all the things that do. Oh, yes, I still have it. I got it all.
Yeah.
And every now and then I have to go back to it. So you instilled that in me. And I want to know what they want to know. I want to know too. How you did that. What is your methodology?
Sure.
So we're gonna come back. Don't go anywhere, people. She's amazing. I'm telling you. And any of you who know me know how I know me from way back and how I started and where I am now. This is the woman. So we'll be right back. So don't go anywhere. We're just going to do a couple of things and we're going to be right back with the amazing Rose Chastain. So what I want to tell you is this. On April 12th, I will be a speaker at the Limitless for Women Wealth, and the theme is wealth. Oh, wow, that goes with today. Wealth, wellness, and purpose. And I will be on the relationship panel. And if you would love to be there to hear all of these wonderful women speak about mindset and leadership, finance, marketing, and branding, then what I would like for you to do is go there on Eventbrite, and you can see the URL or what to click on in Eventbrite. But if you go to Eventbrite and go to Limitless for Women, use my little thing here, then you can be able to hear and meet these wonderful women. It is virtual. So that's Limitless Women, April 25.eventbrite.com/? AFF equals Janice Fortman. And that is for you who are Audible only. Limitless for Women. Also, and now I'm going to a commercial other than the commercial about me. And I will see you in just a couple of minutes. Here we go. We are back with Mrs. Rose Chastain. All right, Rose. So now I
You
put
want
a
me
big old question on you and shoot, just go ahead.
Okay, I will. First, I have to tell you that you have the best commercials ever. I've never had the experience of loving commercials so much, so I'll tell you that. I
Thank you.
want more. I want more of your TV.
Created by Feet on the Ground Videography, which is another part of my business. So if
Brilliant.
you would like a video, promo video, anyone who's watching, just contact me. All right, go ahead.
Perfect. Okay, so here's my big secret. I actually really like you, and I have a lot of respect for you. That's where it starts.
Okay.
Big secret. Big secret. Trade secret. Don't tell anybody. But all joking aside, especially for a business consultant, the consulting industry is designed around having people not have power. It's designed around people failing, around people suffering, because otherwise, why would you hire me unless you needed something, unless you were struggling in an area? So the industry itself, I believe, reinforces people's fear. Think about all the different sales you've heard about consultants and how they sell. They sell, well, if you want to be doing the same thing you're doing now next year, then go ahead, don't hire me. But if you want to have new results and have breakthrough thinking, go ahead and hire me. And it's sad that because that reinforces people's insecurity, and they go, wow, I have been struggling along the same path for a long time, because most of us do when we start businesses. So it reinforces that insecurity. And the other side of that, though, is a lot of consultants, they do make your life better and your business better. They do. So it's this fine line, because on one hand, I think that the way most people market reinforces insecurities, but on the other hand, it's true what they provide. So my big secret is that I make sure I fall in love with the people I'm working with. And it's a structure for me and for the people who work for me and work with me, which is they can't work with somebody and I can't work with someone until I could tell you separately from my notes or from the bio or from whatever I'm reading. I have to be able to tell you why I love this person. And I know that that's very sort of woo-woo language to talk about loving someone when you're talking about wealth and business coaching. But I believe that deep respect and co-learning and true growth comes when you really respect, admire, and love the person that you are working with.
Okay.
That's my first secret.
Okay.
Like I said, when I said, hey, you guys, this she's a badass, you got to listen to her, that wasn't a joke. It was like I had seen you interact with people. And I had seen the grace and the respect that you brought to your interactions with people. And then I read your bio and went, oh, wow, she's done a lot of stuff. So it's that. So that's one thing. Then the next thing that's a principle is candor and play. And by that in particular, as I say, I'm a California girl. I've lived in California most of my life. And I talk like that. And I sound like that. And trying to get that out of my vocabulary and trying to be something other than what I am means that I can't inspire people as deeply if I do that. Because it's surface level, it's education level. It'll give you more information, but it won't have you be someone you never imagined you'd be. And then play, they've proven it neurologically that if there's fun and play with your learning, you will learn deeper. It's more repeatable. There's less barriers to your retention of that information. So the best way to have play be there when you're training somebody is to really like them, to really actually have fun talking to them. So that's the first thing. Then we have technology that we use. There's a couple of different tools that we use often. One is we call Live the Flow, access to living a life true to yourself. And there's a whole series of tools that we use inside that. And I'm going to walk through a couple of them, which is the work that you and I did. And I'll tell you what it looks like. So the first thing is what I call the foundation or the discovery process or wheel. We have them displayed in wheels when we work with people. And I don't think I had wheels at the time when we worked together. So I did it in other ways, but it's the same work. And it is that you have to start with stopping. And almost no one wants to do that. They hire a consultant to grow faster. But if you can't stop and trust yourself and really surrender to things being the way that they are, you won't move clearly from the facts, because you will part of what you're acting on isn't real and not verified, because you saw something in passing, or you believe something, or your mother told you something, or you saw it on TV. Like, it's whether that's your own limitations and assets or the quality, the status of your business. One of the number one things that people talk about is they say, well, I have this new product and I'm going to promote it, and I'm going to promote it on social media, and pretty soon I will have lots of clients. And they say some version of that. And I go, okay, well, have you ever promoted yourself on social media before? No. Okay, well, how are you going to represent yourself? How are you going to get up the attitude and the mood to put yourself on social media every day, multiple times a day? How are you going to keep it interesting? What are you going to do when people stop watching? When people don't listen to you and don't follow you? Are you going to be depressed? Are you going to stop? How are you going to have that stamina, that longevity? Who are you going to do it with? What are you going to talk about? What's your strategy, et cetera, et cetera? You have to actually stop and go, okay, I know I've heard and seen on TV and read the books about I could be an influencer and I could be a digital nomad and I want that life. I mean, who doesn't want that life? That's a great life. But the reality of having to always be on camera and always be marketing, no matter how good it is that takes work and effort and strain. And most people never confront that. They don't deal with it. And truthfully, they don't want to do if they look at the actual work. So when you stop, trust yourself, and surrender to what you actually have, to what the facts are, you start on solid footing. You start clear on what you want, what's important to you. Forget what other people think you should do. What's important to you? What makes you come alive? What makes you happy? What makes you no, this is what I chose. And here's my California version of saying this, but stand in your own power. And nothing can knock you down. To do that, you have to stop. So that's the first step, the first leg: stop, trust, and surrender. Then you have to ask yourself, what do I want? And people go, well, I just want to do my work and have a successful business. Okay, well, how are you measuring success? And that's that question. How are you measuring success is so vital. As you know, in the work that you do in relationships, and especially relationships with mothers and daughters, so often how we measure success is because our mother did this thing when we were 10, and we decided I'm never going to suffer like her, or I'm going to be better than that, or I'm whatever we decide. Mm-hmm. So you have to look at, well, what do you want? And I was embarrassed to admit recently, and I was looking at my business and redesigning things, and I was really embarrassed to admit that I wanted to do work that focused around women in businesses, because it's a bad business move. If that's my focus, marketing, I eliminate half of the world, in my marketing. So I have to change all the markets. Plus, my partner is a man. He's a very powerful man who's, has his own products and his own information and things to express. So there was risks involved in it. It was uncomfortable for me to say, no, that's really what I want to do. I'm tired of just working for the highest bidder. I don't want my business model to be, if you pay me, I'll work with you. I don't want that anymore. That's embarrassing. It's
really
powerful. It's powerful. It's an empowering, but it's not embarrassing is the wrong word. It's not the status quo.
Yeah.
It's not like what people would say normally. I have a lot of colleagues and contacts on Sand Hill Road in Palo Alto, which are where a lot of the major angel investors are and foundations there. And if I'm going to tell them, no, I'm limiting the scope of my consultancy practice, and I'm only delivering these 4 programs, and that's it, they'd be like, what? You want me to invest in something and you're not taking full advantage of the market? And, I do have an answer for that. There is a strategy for that. But it took me really thinking and telling the truth about what's important to me. And I've had colleagues tell me, don't focus just on women, So you have to be willing to be true to yourself, which is, I know that every man out there who's in a relationship with a woman, no matter what kind of relationship, would love to see her happy and empowered. And so, I'm clear I'm working for everybody here, but you can see admitting what you want sometimes is difficult. And then the next piece is, well, what do you have? So if I say I want to work in empowering women, but I only know men, well, there's my first step. Go meet some women, right? And then what's the next action is immediately there. When you tell the truth about what you have, the next action is immediately there. And that was the work that you did. You went, oh, I don't want to do that. I want to do this. Oh, well, then I should go do this. And it doesn't surprise me as an outsider watching what you've accomplished so fast is because you're really good at that. What do I want? What do I have? What's next? What do I want? What do I have? What's next? And then the last piece of it is really balancing your mind, your body, and your heart. And asking yourself, that's such a slogan that everybody says. You're balancing your mind, body, and go eat, pray, love, go do all this stuff. But it's really a more serious question. Like, if your body is the receptacle, the holder of your mind and your heart and your spirit, if that's true, then how are you caring for your body? And is that a match for the size of your heart? Is that a match for your mind? How are you keeping your mind healthy? Are you able to think new thoughts, or are you with new people who will ask you new things? Or are you thinking the same things over and over again? How is your mind growing? There was this really great colleague of mine who was he's the godfather of video conferencing before we were ever doing anything like this. And he sold his tech company that he started for in the billions. And now he's 50 something and essentially retired. He's
Wow.
he's living in Florida, just living the life up, making a difference. But one of the things that he says is that every day you have to keep it simple and you have to be clear on what you're doing and what you really want. And are you following that path? Are you aligned with that? And one of the key principles for him in being a successful CEO is that you keep your mental health, your physical health high. Well, you can't think deeply or strategically when that's not well. And I recently had this experience. I was struggling with all kinds of things just in my life. And my brother-in-law passed and difficulties communicating with my spouse. And, I was just depressed. Like everything was hard. And I really had to fight to get the care that I needed. Like from my doctor, I asked for a referral to this great therapist. I didn't like that therapist, found another therapist, I'm just need help processing this grief and moving on. And I ended up discovering that I had low hormone levels, low estrogen levels. And so I recently have, I never thought I would take hormones. And now I have estrogen and progesterone. And all of a sudden I like life better.
Wow.
It's been 3 weeks now. Everything is better. I have more tolerance, more patience. Like I don't get irritated with my spouse with calling, corporations. Like I was setting up a new internet service provider and I'm negotiating and talking to an assistant and back and forth. And that's an annoying thing, calling internet providers can be full of annoyance. And it really wasn't. And I had a great conversation with them. So feeling physically healthier and mentally healthier, I have accomplished more in the 3 weeks that I have been doing that, been on these hormones, than I have in the previous 3 months. And we don't talk much about that in life, but it's critical.
Wow.
So now you know my secret.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. And I can look back on when you were my coach. I could look back on some, really, I would say all of the things that you said that was a part of our coaching sessions. So let me ask you this question right quick.
Yeah,
Have you ever had someone who wanted you to be their coach and you said no
I have. Yes.
because you
Yes.
didn't?
Say that
Yeah,
again. Sorry.
I said you didn't like them. You didn't fall in love with them.
I didn't fall in love.
Okay.
Um, yeah, that really was what it is. There's two situations that when you asked me that immediately came to mind. One was this woman was so desperate, like it was her dream. It was her last chance. She had been dealing with a bunch of things in her life, and she was so desperate. She was going to get a second mortgage on her house in order to pay my consulting fees, and I couldn't let that happen. Like she had young children. She was a newly single mother. It was just not good use of her money,
Right.
and and so I ended up directing her in the area of small business association and other free resources that are available, and I helped get her set up for that. But it was really like she needed to get some stability for herself, for her business, for her kids, and then you can come and I'll work with you. So that was one situation. And another one, you're gonna laugh at me about this one, but this woman just got a huge settlement, and she had just gotten a divorce. And part of the settlement that they made was that he would pay for coaching or consulting to help set up her new life.
Hmm.
And so she was just going from one coach to another because she was just
As a husband had to pay.
because he had to pay for it. Yeah. So, and I didn't work with her.
Well, I can understand that. So I'm going to jump off on something
Yeah,
totally different.
go for it.
You paint.
Yes, I do.
Tell us about it.
Okay. Um, so my grandfather was an artist, or he's passed away. So, but he was a very prolific artist, and he had paintings in the Louvre, and he painted for the Shakespeare festivals, the tourist Shakespeare festivals. He was in charge of doing the backgrounds and the backdrops for all these, and so he's just had a ton of art all over. So I grew up around it, and it was like, that's what Grandpa does, Eh. And when my brother-in-law got sick, it was about 2 years ago, I started painting as a way to really process stress and grief. And I inherited a lot of my grandfather's paint brushes and paints, and so I was like, it doesn't have to be pretty, I'll just paint. And what I discovered was that I could have this really deep, profound experience of disappearing. Like all my stress would disappear, and I would disappear into this painting. And I found myself painting things I didn't know I could paint. They were kind of shocking. So I, over these 2 years, just painted a ton of things. And we have a home office, and we've converted our garage into an even bigger workspace. And so what I started doing is I had so many paintings, I filled an entire wall of this converted garage of paintings. So it's floor to ceiling, all my paintings. And and most of these had to do with my spouse or my brother-in-law, like some sort of emotional thing that I was working through. So they became really deep and intense. That sort of surprised me. And so my partner was having a call with these two shamans, and they're clients of ours. And they're trying to bridge their spirituality with business and have a spiritual centered business. So she saw all the paintings behind him while he was on a Zoom call with them. And she said, wow, those are great. Who did those? And he goes, oh, that's Rose's therapy. That's what she does. Then she calls me later and she says, I meditated and I spoke to my guides, and they said that you should channel art for people. And I went, whoa, that's really out there. Okay. I don't even know what that means. But, when a shaman calls you and tells you you should try this, you kind of like should
Yeah.
try it. So I asked her if I could do it first with her. And so I did. And I did this painting, and I just like, I would see these pictures and these images, and I would almost like desperate to get it out and onto the canvas. And the painting that I ended up doing for her, it had all of these similarities and coincidences that I couldn't have known. Like the doodles in the corner were like doodles that her mother did, and the color on the painting matched the accent wall that she put the painting on, and there were just all of these things and coincidences. The design on it is similar to what she does when she prays and how she meditates, and none of these things I knew. And so then I told a friend of mine, you can't believe what just happened. This is an amazing thing. And he said, well, do one for my wife. So then I painted this bigger painting for his wife. And in this painting, there was a woman in this painting, and there was a woman in the middle of this universe, and she had tattoos on her body. And then I discovered later that the wife, the woman I painted this for, had those actual tattoos. Just very similar, like slightly different colors, same design, same location, including one that I put on the woman's wrist. And it matched the one that she had just designed, but hadn't gotten done yet. And they were like, I know, it's like way out there. And it was so profound and such a intimate experience of what that was like. And I don't know how to explain it other than when I paint for someone, I sit down and I talk to them, and I get these feelings and these images, and then it's almost like I desperately have to get it on canvas.
And why did I bring this up, people? Is because Rose, tomorrow I am receiving in the mail my painting.
Yes,
And
you
we
are.
wanted it for today, but you know how mail service is. And I am so excited to see it. And really what it tells me, only got about 4 minutes. And it really it tells me what type of intuitive coach that you are. And I want people, ladies out there, if you are looking for a business coach, and if you're looking for someone who is so authentic and not just coaching you because you come to her and she wants your money, but that she will really, really, really help you. You will learn so much. You will instill so much into you. You can reach her at Rose at cswbusinesscoaching.com. That is Rose at cswbusinesscoaching.com.
Yes.
And I am living proof that you will be successful in whatever it is that you really want to be successful in. Yeah. Rose, the time went so fast.
Yes.
And I'm going to have you back, but I'm going to have some kind of way. I'm going to have to, once I get the picture and you talk to me about the picture.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it on another show.
I'd love that.
I got to.
One quick thing I'll tell you I discovered since I did these paintings is that people can paint what they want, and it's access, like bypasses your logical mind. You can dream way bigger. So there's a whole series of work I started doing too with people painting and seeing what they can create. So, we can talk about that too.
Oh, we sure can. We sure can. I can't even paint a straight line. But anyway, Rose, thank you so very much for being my guest and just for instilling in me the qualities of just, pursuing my passion and my goals and my mission. I really I really love you and I really appreciate you. I am so happy I met you. I don't know what to do.
Me too.
So, so you just take care. We will talk again.
Yes.
And I'll say it again, folks out there, you have got to just, email her.
Yeah.
And just have a conversation with her and just see how she can really 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 help you,
Yes.
especially you ladies out there who I know who are on 9 to 5s and you're thinking about leaving and starting
Oh
your
yeah.
own business. You
Oh
got to
yeah.
talk to Rose. That
Talk to
is
me before you
Rose
jump.
at cswbusinesscoaching.com. Rose, you have a beautiful, blessed rest of your evening out there in sunny California.
Thank you.
All
Bye.
right. Bye bye. Wow, this has been amazing and wonderful for me. And I hope, no, not I hope, I know it's been wonderful for you. So I will see you again on Relationship Matters TV. And you have a beautiful, blessed rest of your morning, afternoon, or evening. Remember, there are all kinds of relationships and all kinds of relationship matters. Life is about relationships. Bye bye.